into a half a liter of water, brought it to a boil, switched it off. And just before I switched off the heat, I thought, you know what? Let me throw some cloves in for good measure, because cloves, of course, are antiseptic and antimicrobial. And yeah, right as rain now. Subhanallah, alhamdulillah. We walk the talk here. We don't just talk the talk. So that's it, folks. If you're wanting that little recipe, there you go. You can have it with honey or not. I had it not. So no honey. If you're joining us on 90.4 FM or 105.6 FM, please be sure to give us a call, 0861 904 904. Let us know what's brewing in your garden, or if you have any Nature's Apothecary, questions, you're welcome to do that too, or you can WhatsApp us on 060 904 1056. So that's what went down last week with my good old tonsils. I have not had tonsillitis since I was a child. Who on earth gets tonsillitis after the age of 50? Seriously. It goes to show. Anyway, subhanallah. Subhanallah and alhamdulillah in all things. Now today we've got a pretty exciting show. We always talk about our plant of the week, particularly during Ramadan. This is our Quran plant of the week. But before we go to the plant of the week, I actually want to cover what we should be doing in our gardening at this point in time, because we're approaching April. Do you know what that is? You know what April means? April means we're heading into which season? In Durban, it's like, it doesn't make much of a difference, but we're actually moving into autumn. So quickly. Or as the Americans would say, we're heading into fall. Now, when we get to fall, we got all sorts of new things that we want to do in the garden. So we're going to talk about what you should be doing in your garden. Let me know what you're doing in your garden. WhatsApp us, 060 904 1056. And we're talking about what to do in your gardens. Then we're going to talk about our Quran plant of the week. I've actually lined up a few nasheeds that connect to this plant. We're talking about how to grow it. We're talking about how to use it. And any prizes, any guesses of what it might be? Do you remember what plant we're talking about?
Something that has L-I-V-E.
You live for it. You love for it. It's olives. Olives. We're talking about the olive tree, but not just the olives themselves. We're actually talking about the benefits of the tree. We're talking about how to grow the tree. And we're talking about how to make your own olive oil.
Oh, wow.
Olive oil. Yeah, you can make your own.
To plant yourself.
Well, yes, you can plant the tree. You can then harvest the fruit, and then you can make your own olive oil.
Aibo.
Yeah, bo. And if you've got your olives, then you can also make your own tapenade. So I've got some recipes for the olive tapenade. Now, olive oil is a must in my culture. Portuguese, there's two things that you always have at home. The one thing is garlic, and the other thing is olive oil. If you don't have olive oil and you don't have garlic, it's not a Portuguese household. We're big on both. And both of those are plants of the Quran. But let's talk first about what you should be doing in your garden this month. So April is the time where we start to plant our little bulbs, okay? Because we got to get them ready, because it's better to get them into the ground now. You can still sow some seeds, of course. You can still, if you're going to be planting, let's say you've got a winter wedding coming up, then now is the time when you can plant those flowers, of course. This is the time where you feed your azaleas, your camellias, and your tea bushes, if you have tea bushes. And here you just want to give it an overall feed. Remember to mulching in April. Begin to mulch in April. There's this thing that happens. I don't know, dear listeners, if you have that, but people tend to, the leaves fall down and we rake everything up. Those beds must be clean. But then what happens is there's nothing to keep the moisture into the earth. The leaves at winter time is like a second skin for the ground, and it keeps the moisture in, it keeps the cold out, it retains the warmth. So mulching is actually really important. So if you do have a garden where the leaves are falling, or you've got pots and you keep getting rid of leaves that fall down, maybe just leave them. Let them sit through the winter, right? You're going to feed also your cabbages, your broccolis, kales, and all other brassicas. And a good liquid fertilizer is great at this point in time if you're growing lettuce. So here's a nice liquid fertilizer. All those grass clippings that you've got, or some of the green leaves if you're pruning. This is also a time to prune some of the bigger trees. You don't want to prune rose bushes and things because you do that in the springtime. But you can still prune some leafy greens, and those you can take the leaves, take the grass clippings, put them into a blender and add some water to it. And there you have a nice liquid fertilizer. Of course, you can add things like tea bags or coffee granules. You can add your banana skins, especially if you've soaked them. Don't forget your date pips. Keep those date pips. Grind them up. They make a great coffee, as we've said in past shows. But they also make good fertilizer. So grind up those date pips, add some water to them, and blitz that all together. If you have a lawn, now is probably the time to, mow your lawn a little bit harder. Mow it back a little bit harder. Move your house plants if you're starting to see a little bit of frost. If you're tuning into us in Johannesburg or in Gauteng, get your, house plants into kind of more warm areas indoors if need be as we approach the winter. And then of course this is when you plant your petunias. In April you put in your petunias. Interesting thing about petunias, they actually eat up a lot of the nutrients in the soil. So if you've had petunias growing in a particular spot, be sure to give it a good feed. They really do soak up a lot of the minerals in the soil, and then you end up not having them. It is also a perfect time to be planting your roses. If you've got roses that you're planting in the pots or roses that you're planting in the ground, now's the time to do it. Yes, when the weather is a little bit cooler. And that's what you'll be doing in your garden this month. You can also be planting your fruit trees, of course. This is a great time for fruit trees. So we always think springtime is the time to do the things in the garden, but not necessarily, because autumn is also a wonderful time to do it. So we have a message that has come in here, a couple of messages. Let's take a message from Sister Rabia Khan. Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum salam. She says, so I'm giving a tip. For any throat infection or sore throat, a teaspoon of vinegar. It does wonders. My late mom's tip always works. Hope you're better now. Alhamdulillah. All good. Subhanallah. So yes, vinegar does help. And if it's just like a painful throat and it's just in the beginning, I like to actually take equal amounts of vinegar and honey because, taking vinegar on its own, it's great for the throat, not so great for the tooth enamel. Tooth enamel does not like it. Another message here from Brother Frank. Hey, salams to Sister Rabia Carvalho. Walaikum salam. To the Al Ansar team and listeners here in Pietermaritzburg, there's a lot of alien species of plants. We're heading towards a fowl. Can I ask, where's Namibia? Because the gingerbread man said he's coming to Namibia. If he doesn't know where's Lesotho, how's he going to know where's Namibia? I have no idea, brother. But I am so glad that you've woken in a wonderful mood. A wonderful mood, subhanallah. How is Ramadan treating everybody, by the way? I think this has been a really beautiful Ramadan. Trying in some ways, I'm sure you will agree, but that's the point of it, isn't it? That's the point of it. All the autophagy that we're going through. So those are your April gardening tasks. You know where to drop your questions. 0609041056. Drop us a message. Send us a voice note. Send us your pictures. We absolutely love to hear from you. And I want to say to you, my dear listeners, my lovely listeners, during the show, we do get lots of messages that come in. And then what happens during the week? During the week, we have all these messages that hit my phone. All you shy sisters and brothers sending me messages about your plants. during the week, and I love it. Jazakallah khair for your kindness and reaching out. I would ask you, send us to them in the show so that everybody can learn together. And speaking of learning together, as you know, I run a few groups, a couple of them being gardening groups. And on our group this week, we had a lovely sister that harvested a big harvest of olives. And she messaged and said, Rabia, I don't understand why my olives are bitter. I had a landscaper here who said that if they get more sun, then they will be sweet. Well, he lies. Straight up, he lies. He is pulling your leg, dear sister, because olives ain't sweet, not when they first grow. Did you know that, Siboniso? Olives are actually really bitter. Yes, when you pick olives, they are exceptionally bitter. Now, why is it a plant of the Quran? I thought, hang on a second. While it's a plant of the Quran, let's talk about olives. I know we touched on olives, and that was a little while ago. Oh my goodness, Bonisi, we're getting some marriage proposals on this WhatsApp. Ya Allah, subhanallah. Moving on swiftly over here. The Quran speaks about the olives, Quran, and that is chapter 16, verse 18. It says, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. And Allah has made for you from your homes a place of rest, and made for you from the hides of the animals tents, which you find light on the day of travel and when you stop for rest, and of their wool, fur, and hair, furniture and goods for a time of enjoyment. And Allah made for you from the olive tree and dates a source of sustenance. Yes, a source of sustenance. How long do you think olive trees grow, Sponiso? Listeners, how long do you think olive trees grow? How long do you think they grow, Sponiso?
A month.
A month. How long do they live for? Let me rephrase that. How long do you think an olive tree will live for? 20 years? 50 years?
Find out from our listeners.
100 years? Do our listeners know? No? No, 20 years? No, not 20 years. What does the sister say here? 30 years? No, not 30 years, not 50 years. You guess, Beniso. Olive trees. In the thousands of trees, thousands of years. Yes, there was a tree in Palestine that was taken down recently, and it was 4,500 years old. So think about the nutrition of something that can live that long. How much nutrition comes out of that? The oldest that we know of is 4,500 years old. But here's the thing about the olive trees that you may not know. We use the olive trees for olives, but we also use it for the olive leaf. Yup, olive leaves. So what are the benefits of olives? Why are they bitter? They are bitter because of a compound called oleoropine. Oleoropine. It's a phenolic compound. Yeah, that just means it's got phenols. Phenols means it's good for you. It's anti-aging, it's antioxidant, it's anti-inflammatory, it's anti-cancer, it's anti-diabetic, anti-obesity, anti-hypertensive, so it's good for your blood pressure. It's anti-angiogenic, and it is gastroprotective, protects your gut, right? It is hepatoprotective, so it protects your kidneys. It is radioprotective. So, man alive, there is so much that that olives do for us. But if you are trying those fresh olives because you think, I'm going to harvest them from the trees, and you know what? Harvesting them from the trees, I'm going to chow them down just like that because I want to taste them. Be careful. Be careful. Because why? Because oleoropane can actually give you a little bit of an allergic reaction because it's so potent. Really great for your liver, for headaches, for kidneys, as we've said. There's so much. It also protects your heart, so it's cardioprotective. All of these things from olives. And some people don't eat olives. Do you like olives, Sponiso?
Actually, I need to try it.
You haven't tried olives?
Gee.
My goodness, we need to bring some olives.
I think by next week or maybe after Ramzan, maybe we need to bring like some.
Olives. There are so many varieties of olives. There's green olives, there's black olives, there's brown olives. Those Greek olives, those big Kalamata olives, those are fantastic. Those are my favorite, the Kalamata olives. Did you know that green olives are actually better for you than
The green
the
ones.
dark ones? Yeah, the green ones are better than the dark ones. When it comes to olives, there we go. Message from Brother Manu Govende says, Wa alaikum salam. And then he says, well, salams. So salams and wa alaikum salam. I think they grow forever, he says. Blessed by Almighty Allah, blessings. Loving the conversation. Excellent. Thanks to all. Subhanallah. Jazakallah for that. Fatima Effendi, Sister Fatima says, you have to acquire a taste for olives. I love the green ones. Interesting. Perhaps, my palate is different when it comes to olives because I'm a little poorer, in the cabbage patch, aka Portugal. We have lots and lots of olives all the time. Another message that came out, I don't have a name. Folks, leave us your name if you don't mind. Otherwise, we'll just say it's anonymous. So anonymous says pickled olives. Pickled olives. So I assume you like pickled olives. Okay, another message. Somebody voting on how long olives grow. 100 years. Wow, a lot more than that, my sister. A lot more than that. So, folks, the question about Eid Milan, it opens at 10 a.m. and it's open until late. So you can go head over there and have, your iftar. And yeah, just enjoy the Eid Milan. It's talking about our olives. Here's another thing about olives. Olive oil is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic, darling. And a lot of people will say, I only cook with olive oil. And I say, no, don't cook with olive oil. You see, there's a thing when it comes to oils that is referred to as the heating point. So the heating point means the point up to which you can heat an oil before it breaks down or becomes carcinogenic. In other words, it has a potential to give you cancer. Not good for you. And olive oil has a very low heating point, which means it very, very quickly becomes, breaks down and degrades, which is why you don't want to cook with the olive oil in the pot, huh? You want to mix a little bit of coconut oil into your olive oil because that raises the heating point of your olive oil. So you're still getting the benefits of your olive oil. You're getting the benefits of the coconut oil as well, but you are helping your olive oil almost like a sun protection lotion for your oil is your coconut oil. So it helps your oil, your olive oil, to stay in the heat for longer without degrading. But olive oil is really great to be had raw. So when it comes to raw, uncooked, that is where you want your olive oil. You want it in your salads. You want it in your hair. Now, my granny on my mother's side, that's not my granny, my great-grandmother on my mother's side, she lived to the ripe old age, subhanallah, of 99 years old. And she swore by olive oil. She would smother herself in olive oil every night. And she would also, every single night, comb olive oil through her hair. She died at the age of 99, I think. Yeah, it was 99. And she still had pitch black hair. Her hair was pitch black. She had not a single grey hair. Now, she attributed that to olive oil. And no, I did not inherit her genes, unfortunately, when it comes to grey. So, olive oil is great to brush your hair with at night. It is great to massage into your scalp. Now, I'm not saying, sleep like a grease monkey, because then your pillow is not going to thank you, and neither is your husband or your wife, I'm sure. But it is nonetheless really great for your hair. So, a couple of more messages that have come in. Sister Rehana says, olive trees, I'm guessing, live forever. Yes, they do live forever, I suppose. The oldest being 4,500 years that we have found in Palestine. I remember reading about a brother who spoke about the olive trees in Palestine, and how his 4,500-year-old olive tree was broken down. And he said 4 times they have destroyed his plantations and he'll just grow them again. So I think it's time for a little nasheed. Or do we go for an ad break? Let's go for the ad break and then come back and let's play you a lovely nasheed about what? Olives. Yes, let's do it. We'll see you on the other side of this. Don't go away.
Salam everyone, I'm Fems and here's the easiest treat to enjoy for iftar. Whether you call them bhajiyas, dalchis or pakoras, just 1 pack of Paco chili bite mix, a splash of vinegar and enough water to make a batter. Make it thick or thin. Add potatoes, sliced onions, coriander or spinach. Anything goes. Paco chili bite mix is a family favorite for over 75 years. The perfect chili bites. Crispy outside, soft inside, every time. Paco, just the right bite.
Whatever the Quran touches, Allah Rabbul Izzah blesses and honors. The night on which the Quran was revealed became the best of nights. The month on which the Quran was revealed became the best of months. The prophet on which the Quran was revealed became the best of prophets. The angel through which the Quran was revealed became the best of angels. The nation on which the Quran was revealed became the best of nations. And wa Rabbul Kaaba, if you let the Quran touch your life, you will become the best of this ummah. The Prophet said, khayrukum, the best of you are those who learn the Quran and teach it to others. Let the Quran touch your life.
WhatsApp us now on 060 904 1056.
Sponsor an orphan, and you'll help support a vulnerable child to have the education they've always dreamed of, so they can build a brighter future. You'll be feeding a hungry stomach and a hungry mind with knowledge that will last them a lifetime. That's the power of an education. Sponsor an orphan now with Islamic Relief.
Call us now on 0861 904 904.
Save the date. The Hajj seminar is back on Saturday, the 12th of April 2025 from 8 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. at 207 West Road in Overport. Proudly brought to you by the Capital Group of Companies and the Al Ansar Foundation.
My John, will you marry me?
Are you serious?
Absolutely.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this. We're getting married.
Yes, we are.
Okay, but just one thing.
Uh-oh, what?
I have to get my wedding gown from Jasmine's Bridal.
Like there was ever another option. Because when you say yes, everything should be perfect. Starting with the dress. Discover our timeless collection of bridal gowns starting at just 5,000 Rand and make your special day truly unforgettable.
Best day ever.
Jasmine's Bridal, where your love story begins in style.
Radio Al Ansar, 24/7, 365.
Get ready for Green Thumbs Up, the gardening and natural living show you didn't know you needed. I'm your host and life coach, Rabia, and we're talking birds, bees, butterflies and blooms, growing food and garden rooms, home-based holistic healing and much more. Whether you're a seasoned gardener or nature lover, plant assassin or permaculture professional, we got you. We got you. Let us bring you the ideas, the facts, support and inspiration to go green wherever you are. Sundays 9 to 10 a.m. only on Radio Al Ansar.
We'd love to meet you. Pay us a visit. Radio Al Ansar.
In the land where olive trees once were, where the children know what's love and play. Now the silence echoes deep in hearts where memories weep. In the land where olive trees once swayed. Many streets that were once filled with stories old, now just whisper of the tales of lives untold. shattered dreams and broken homes.
WhatsApp us now on 060 904 1056.
With stories old, from peaceful homes to the loudest cries, to the innocent souls, we say goodbye. Philistine, oh, one day you will be free. Behind the smoke, there is a road where freedom lies. Oh, the essence of your courage and your strength will not be shattered, even if there is nothing left, until they gain their rightful home. 'Cause Philistine's where they belong. Oh, the essence of your courage and your strength, in the heartbeat of the land where Al-Aqsa lives. They will fight, they'll defend, and they will...
Subhanallah, Subhanallah. For those who don't know, that was Muad, and he's talking about trees of freedom. And he's referring to, of course, who is he referring to? What is he referring to? To olive trees, and of course to Gaza. And so I'd like to make this dua. It is in English. Forgive me, I don't read the Arabic. So I would say, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. O Allah, help and protect the people of Palestine. O Allah, ease their pain and suffering. O Allah, bestower of mercy, bestow your mercy on them. O Allah, open people's hearts to give in this time of crisis. Now, folks, I had to do that because you're listening to Green Thumbs Up, and this is a gardening show, and you think of all the trees that have been decimated, and you think of the people that have been decimated. And for me, it is such a kind of it's an irony, isn't it? Thinking of the history of Palestine and the farmers that have been farming olive trees since like Neolithic times, and they are being culled, basically. It's horrific. And this is the best time for dua. It is Ramadan, of course, so in a state of fast, inshallah, ameen. I hope you joined me in that little dua, just a small little effort. Sister Zinat is saying ameen, Allahumma ameen. Let's talk then about our olives. Let's go back to olives. It is so easy to be sidetracked for me when it comes to thinking of Gaza. It is something so very close to my heart. I'm sure close to all of our hearts. But let's say now you have picked all of your olives and you're wanting to eat them, but you can't. So the first thing you want to do is soak them in water. You can soak your fresh, even unripe olives, so they don't have to be ripe. You can soak them. And by soaking them, already you're going to get rid a little bit of that bitter compound. But if you were to soak them for about a week and then you make a brine solution, so you dissolve about a quarter cup of salt per 800 mils of water, and you submerge the olives in the brine. You make sure that they are fully covered. Make sure that there's a weight over it to keep them submerged. So if you have like a chopping board, for instance, that you put into that water and then put something down, a pot on it, so that the olives, you must make sure they are submerged. And then you let that sit for a little while. About 3 days will be enough. And 3 days is where they start to really begin to ferment. Now, from the time of 3 days to about 4 weeks, you're going to find that they get almost sweeter. That bitterness disappears. You can, of course, change the water periodically, and you should, because the bitterness from the olives is going to leach out into that water. And once they're cured to the way that you like, you can rinse the olives and store them in a jar, either with brine or gooi them into what? Olive oil. Wonderful. You can throw them into olive oil. Now, my granny on my other side, that's my father's side, was raised on the family plantation. We don't have it anymore, so don't go there. You know how it goes as families move on. But she was raised on the plantation where there were many olive trees, and she told me a story of how they harvest these olives. Sibunisu, How would you imagine that we olive the harvests, we harvest the olives? These are small little things. And I'm like, so how would you go about harvesting all of these off a tree? Big troubles. Difficult now. So what she used to say, she said they would wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and they would go outside to the plantations, a whole group of them, the entire family. The woman would carry blankets and the men would carry sticks. And the woman would hold the blankets, not on the ground, hold them above the ground, around the trees, whilst the men gave the trees a solid whacking and a solid shaking. And that does two things. It shakes any air bubbles that are in the trunk of the tree, which helps the tree to be more healthy. And I do that with lemon trees. But it also shakes those olives off the tree and they fall into the blanket. Brother Manu Govender says they assaulted the tree. LOL. Kinda. Well, you know what? Olive trees then are very, very resilient because, you can shake them. You've got to shake them to get those olives down. Olives are still harvested by shaking the trees. They just use machines now to shake the trees. So here's a good way to store your olives in olive oil. Here's what we do back home is we take our olive oil, we take sprigs of fresh rosemary and put that into the olive oil and then throw the olives that have already been brined. We throw those into the fresh olive oil. So that's how we keep our olives fresh. And you can keep your olives fresh by in that oil. If you're going to keep them in a brine, remember you have to change it. If you buy olives from the store and they come in that water, you can throw that water out. You can replace it with olive oil and your rosemary or any other herbs of your liking. And let's have a recipe. I know my sisters out there love their recipes, and the brothers too, of course. Why not? Let's make some olive tapenade. Now, if you know olive tapenade, it is a really low carbohydrate, full of good fats kind of a food that's got great fiber. And it is lovely smeared on toast. It is lovely smeared on fresh bread. You can throw some olive tapenade on the bread and then dip it into some za'atar. Why not? And it is beautiful. So here's what you're going to need. You're going to need 11.5 cups. So go to a place where you can buy lots of olives. 11.5 cups of Kalamata olives that have been water cured, and you pit them, remove them pips, and then you take 3 tablespoons of capers drained. I'm sure there must be an error in this recipe. I must have written it down wrong. I'm sure it must be 1.5 cups. No, it can't be 11.5 cups. Absolutely. 3 tablespoons of capers that have been drained, 2 cloves of garlic, fresh and peeled, and then a half a lemon zest. So half a lemon's. I'm getting tongue-tied, folks. The zest of half a lemon, a quarter cup of olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, ideally. And then you want some lemon juice, just a little squeeze of that, and a pinch of pepper. Fresh ground black pepper works great. Take your food processor, throw in your olives, your garlic cloves, your lemon rind, or the zest, therefore, the squeeze of the lemon juice, the pinch of pepper, and the 3 tablespoons of drained capers. And just give it a good old blitz. Now, you can continue to feed olive oil through a little thread into that food processor until it reaches the consistency that you like. Sister Farhana Sheikh has messaged us. Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum salam, sister. I want to know why my dania refused to grow. I'm doing pot planting, my darling. Just a beautiful, informative program. Mashallah for those beautiful du'as, inshallah. Ameen. And then she was saying, also, I was reading something some time ago about how beautiful and fertile the land of Palestine was. So let's start with that last comment. Yes, it was. And that is why the oppressors put uranium into the ground to try to destroy the ground. Can you believe that? Astaghfirullah. As for your dania, why it refused to grow, I'm betting you didn't crack those seeds. Sometimes we buy seeds from a packet and we just throw them into the ground. But here's the thing. Dania, coriander, needs to have those seeds just slightly cracked, just like people. The best ones are the ones that are slightly cracked. And then you put those into the ground, or you grow them in the colander. And that is the best way to make sure that your coriander, your dhania, will grow. So now, if you're making olive oil at home, I hope that answers your question, sister. If you're wanting to make olive oil at home, there is, yes, that is olives. Sibuniso is showing me olives. You see what they've done there in this particular recipe that he's shown us. He's showing me a picture of olives, and that looks very, very Mediterranean. So there is some caraway seeds. That looks like caraway seeds in there. Some bay leaves in there. Those are other alternatives that you could add to your olive oil before you throw your cured olives in and then store them in the fridge. If you're making olive oil, let's get back to that. Gosh, time, she's running. No, it can't be 10 to 10.
It is.
Subhanallah. Subhanallah, it's 10 to 10. Sure. Okay, let's get to it. Heavy food processor. If you've got a heavy duty food processor, you won't need to remove the pits from your olives. If you're using a narrow base blender, so one of these smaller apparatus, you may want to remove the pits from the olives so that you don't damage the blades. So all you need to do is clean the olives, rinse them well to remove any dirt, leaves, twigs or other debris. So these are uncured olives, and slam them into the food processor. Blitz them at a very low speed. You want to create a pulp of olives without breaking up the pips if you're using the with the pips in it. If you are without the pips, you can just give it a good old blitz. Give it a good old blitz until you've got a pulp, and that's going to blend the pulp. Now, if you do it on low heat, you're going to have less heat. On low speed, you're going to have less heat. That's going to help the olives to release more of the oil. They don't like heat. If you have a lot of heat, then you're not going to get as much oil out of it, okay? So once you've got this pulp, the next thing you want to do is to squeeze it out. Squeeze out that pulp, and you're going to strain it with a cotton cloth, for instance. Squeeze it out, and you're going to get a liquid that's a mixture of olive oil and then olive juice, I suppose, is the word for it. Okay, so if you've got that, now you want to separate the oil from the water, right? So you want to separate the two. The first thing you're going to do, you're going to have that grayish brown fluid, and you can wring it out again through a cloth at least twice again to separate it. Now let it stand. Oil is going to be less dense, so it's going to rise to the surface. It's going to float to the surface of that water. And then all you do, as if you were going to take petrol out of a car, is you can use a straw or a thin tube. And I'm thinking, if you've got those tubes from your pharmacy for the nebulizers, you can use that. And all you do is give it a little bit of a inhalation, just letting the straw touch the oil only, and it'll pull the oil and leave the water behind. Once you've filtered it out, the liquid is probably going to be mostly olive oil. So you can either filter out the oil using the straw, or dip the straw right down to the bottom and pull out the water. You extract the water, then all you're left with is the oil. And you can once again put it through your fabric, and there you go. That's all you need to do in order to make your own olive oil. Sister Farhana says, my darling, I crack and plant it also soaked, but nothing works. Please give me your correct way to plant. Okay, if you're wanting to plant, she's talking about her dhania seeds. Let's go back to the dhania quickly. Here's the thing. If you want to germinate them before they plant, easiest way, then you know if they're going to grow or not. Take some kitchen towel, kitchen paper towels. Okay, line a colander, a strainer. Line the strainer with these kitchen towels. Take your cracked seeds, put them in there, and then dampen that cloth, that paper towel, and dampen the seeds. Keep that damp. Keep it damp daily, and you'll begin to see the roots forming. Gently take them and put them into the soil. You might be planting them a little bit too deep. That's the other thing. You may be planting them too deep, in which case they are not able to get to the surface, to push through the ground, or you may be planting them too narrow and then the birds got them. That could be it too. So try that, sister, and hopefully that'll work for you. You can plant them into good soil. A good mixture of potting, soil, and compost is great for your dahlia. Remember also, it loves the sunshine. So if you have it in the shade, it's not going to grow very, very well. It loves a lot of space as well. Now, how would you grow the actual olive trees? We're going back to olives. Keep bringing us back. If you're growing your olive trees at home, you can get olive trees from the nursery. Check that you've not got an ornamental olive tree, first of all. You want an olive tree that's actually going to give you fruit, and not all olive trees will. Especially if they are ornamental. So they want about 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight. Olives love sun. You've got to water deeply, but they don't like soggy roots. So once a week, give them a good watering. Remember to water deep and right out to where the canopy of the tree ends, and then prune it. It likes to be pruned quite hard and quite regularly, and that is how you get some brilliant olives for yourself. Now, I had for you this show planned also a wonderful series of recipes in our Nature's Apothecary for anti-pigmentation. I know that has been asked before, so we have 4 minutes to spare. Shall I go ahead and do that? Yes, let me go ahead and do that. Let me jump quickly into Nature's Apothecary. We had a couple of other nasheeds, but we're going to forego those because I know my sisters out there are waiting for those recipes. So firstly, your olive leaf extract and olive leaf tea. The olive leaf tea is great for drinking. It's also great for your skin. So you're going to take what? Olive leaves off the tree, or buy your olive leaves. It's a teaspoon of dry olive leaves or a quarter cup of fresh olive leaves to a cup of boiling water. Steep it for about 10 minutes and you've got a great tea that's going to improve the blood flow in your face. So therefore, it's going to help to boost collagen production. Right? If you're going to drink the tea, you may lower your blood pressure, you may lower your cholesterol. It's also antiviral and antibacterial, so tonsillitis and all other goodies. There we go. It helps you to balance your blood sugar. So if you're going to have a meal that is heavy on the carbohydrates, the simple carbohydrates, a lot of rice, or a lot of pasta, or a lot of bread, it's good to have yourself a cup of olive leaf tree as well, because it's great for digestive health. So there you go, your olive leaves for skin as well as for internal use. And then there is another little plant that's very common in South Africa, and I looked for the Hindi name. The Hindi name is Brahma Manduka. I hope I've pronounced that right. It's also known as Indian pennywort or Asiatic pennywort, spade leaf or coinwort, but it's best known as gotu kola. Gotu kola is one of those wonderful herbs for the brain, but did you know that if you make a tea out of it and you cool that tea down, you can use it as a toner for your face? And then it is an anti-aging. It is an anti-pigmentation. So if you've got those dark rings under your eyes or those kind of dark areas under your eyes, a gotu kola infusion steeped for 10 minutes into that boiling water is really, really great for that. Remembering my go-to for all pigmentation is always licorice root. You can find a lot of this information on my socials, which is Life Coach Rabia. You can find me as Life Coach Rabia anywhere pretty much. And you'll find on my TikToks quite a lot of videos on anti-pigmentation. So licorice root is one for that. Then, of course, good old turmeric. I know you all have another name for it. Turmeric, the yellow thing, bori turmeric. Now, it's not just for your curry. It contains curcumin. Curcumin is the stuff that's great as an anti-inflammatory for our bodies internally. But on the skin, you can make an under-eye roll. Yes, a roll-on for under your eyes. And all you need to do is take a teaspoon of turmeric powder and 2 tablespoons of coconut oil. You could mix olive oil and coconut oil together and then add that teaspoon of turmeric powder, and you can mix that and put it into a little roller. You get these little roller bottles, and you can apply that to your under eyes and wash it off in the morning. If your skin is fairer, watch out with turmeric because it stains. I know this from personal experience because I once tried a turmeric face mask because people were saying, oh, turmeric face masks are all the rage, and I turned out yellow. Not good. Not a good look for me. Chamomile is also a great one. It's not just for tea. So brew those chamomile tea bags. You can add some green tea as well. And there you have just the right thing for your skin. Can you believe it is 10 o'clock? It is time for the news. We do have a few more messages that have come in. There are some gardening questions. I will